Doping. It happens across all sports. The NBA, NFL, track, cycling. But there's one sport that we don't hear that much about when it comes to doping that we are now, and that's tennis. So you may have seen two-time Grand Slam champion and former world #1 tennis player Simona Halep in the news lately for a handful of things. For one, her interview with tennis majors where she spilled the beans on her failed drug test at the US Open and mentioned how she's denied the chance to state her case in front of an independent court. Take a look.
Actually, I feel confident because I know I'm clean and I didn't take anything knowing that it's banned.
And just now, it comes out that she's been charged with another, more severe doping offense. But before we explain the second one, which if true, would make this entire situation the most severe doping scandal and the most severe expected punishment for this high profile of a tennis player ever. But let's just take a step back. Okay, so let's just rewind a bit and break down exactly why Simona Halep is frustrated at the ITIA. Let me just clarify, she kept saying ITF in the interview. She actually meant the ITIA because since January 2022, the ITIA, the International Tennis Integrity Agency, has been administering all of the anti-doping tests for the ATP, WTA, ITF, and the Grand Slams. So basically, back in October, Halep tested positive for roxadustat, and it's a drug created by FibroGen, a pharma company in San Francisco. And what this drug does is it helps people with anemia increase their red blood cell count, increasing their oxygen level, and in theory, increasing their endurance should hopefully help them in longer matches. And this drug is similar to drugs that's been used in pro cycling for blood doping. Now, it's important to note that both the A and B samples that Halep gave were positive for roxadustat. Now, after this happened, Halep came out with a statement saying that I never knowingly took any prohibited substance. And it wasn't just her. Her former coach, Darren Cahill, also came out with a statement saying there's no chance Simona knowingly or purposely took any substance on the banned list. None. Zero. He also said that Simona was always extremely vigilant as to not accidentally trigger a positive test result. Even her current coach and former Serena Williams coach Patrick Mouratoglou said, all the people who know Simona also know that she for sure hasn't purposely taken any banned substance. And after all of this, and the ensuing suspension that she received, all Simona Halep wanted to do was clear her name with the ITIA. But the weird part about this entire situation and why this is getting some controversy is because the ITIA was continually postponing the trial that she kept asking for. And it all finally led to Simona Halep sitting down and releasing that interview. Okay, so after all of this, let's get to what happened following that interview. So after the interview, the ITIA came out with their own statement saying the process is ongoing and is being run in line with the World Anti-Doping Code. But it's also kind of fishy how shortly after that interview dropped and just weeks before her trial is finally set to take place, the ITIA came out with her second and arguably more severe doping offense. And it makes you wonder, did they just have that information and they were just waiting to release it? Now, before we get into that, let's just quickly explain the second doping offense that Halep is facing. And it's with regards to irregularities in her athlete biological passport. But what exactly is ABP? Well, it's a program that was built by the World Anti-Doping Agency. And this agency is the agency that oversees professional athlete doping across numerous sports. And this passport is one that they've given to different athletic organizations to monitor blood parameters over time. Essentially, it doesn't test for illegal substances, but rather tests your blood to see if the substances have given you an unfair advantage. And the interesting thing is, Halep already tested positive for roxadustat, which is basically in the same league of banned substances that this athlete biological passport tests for. Like, I'm not saying what the ITIA is saying about our biological passport is wrong. I don't know that. But what I can say is that it is kind of questionable, the timing of everything. And if everything the ITIA is saying is true, and if it turns out that everything that Simona Halep is saying is false, these charges are way, way, way worse than anything a former #1 ranked tennis player has ever faced in tennis history. And once again, Simona Halep and her inner circle have released statements about the second doping offense, saying similar things that they did previously about the ITIA. But what struck out to me the most is that Simona Halep and her team are saying that the ITIA is now harassing them regarding all of these offenses, the timing, and the fact that they just keep postponing the trial. So let's just take everything at face value. What we saw in the interview from Simona Halep was not really an interview. It was more so a carefully crafted statement from her camp directed straight at the ITIA. There was no grilling, no follow-up questions, nothing of the journalistic sort. Not hating on it, just pointing that out. But let's just take her word for it. Up until now, I have no reason not to believe her. Everyone around her seems to vouch for her ethics. She claims that she has solid evidence that she submitted months ago. And the ITIA continually delaying her hearing doesn't help the ITIA's case either. And the fact that they don't even want to uplift the ban to allow her to play as they continually do more testing also sounds a little fishy. And for a player of this high profile to come out with these statements many months after being silent is no coincidence either. Simona Halep and her team realized that there's a lot of signs that point towards the fact that she didn't do much wrong, or at least she realizes that's what public perception's gonna be. And a lot of these facts combined together just make ITIA look so bad right now. I mean, it also kind of makes sense why ITIA would come out now with her second offense regarding her biological passport. And it's one thing to ban a player after thorough testing and listening to all the facts, but it's another thing to completely ignore the evidence the other side is providing and just continually postponing the trial that they keep asking for, especially at all costs. But like I said, I don't know what the truth is. Hopefully, whatever happens is fair and just. That's all we can ask for.